Hey YouTube, how's it going? Torsar the Barbarian here with another sports talk video. Today I wanted to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers and are they done? Before I start though, I'd just like to say, if you feel like it, please like the video, comment, dislike, subscribe if you want to see more content. Any interaction, please, more than welcome. And I'd actually more look forward to people who disagree with me rather than agree. So don't feel afraid or shy to disagree. So, saying that, let's get started. At the beginning of the year, or before the season started, the Lakers had a couple choices of people they could get. I like Buddy Hield. I liked him in college. I thought he was a good player. He's a good player in the NBA. He would have been a good fit on the Lakers. But I was actually excited when the Lakers got Russell Westbrook. I've always been a Russ fan. I know he doesn't play the cleanest basketball, but man, who wouldn't want to play with a guy like that on his team where he's just giving it his all every night? Now, last year, he was with the Washington Wizards, right? And they didn't start off the year too well. Now, looking back, we all found out that he actually started the year with a pretty bad quad injury that most people would have been sitting through. He gutted it out, played through it. The Washington Wizards in the second half of the season actually got a lot better and ended up making the playoffs. Now, they made the play-in, I believe, won that game, and then they got swept in 4 games, but they still made the playoffs, and halfway through the year, who thought they were going to do that? They played better. And Russ he actually had his highest triple-double season last year. All right, as far as the rebounds and assists go, the points have always been around the same since he started doing it. I guess the first season he did it was that was the most points. But I mean, hell, he almost averaged a whole rebound, and he did average over a whole 1.3 more assists than the initial year he did it. I mean, for a 6'3" point guard, 11.5 rebounds and 11.7 assists per game. And the year before, people have this idea that, he's just so, he doesn't have an ability to adapt. Well, when he averages a triple-double 3 years in a row, and then he goes to Houston and plays with James Harden, and then has 7.9 rebounds and 7.0 assists, that tells me he adapted. And I'm old enough to remember, during the bubble that year, Houston was playing very good in stretches, and people were looking at them as a hot team. And, they did this to every team the Lakers went up against. But when they went up against them in the second round of those playoffs, everyone said, "Oh, Houston, they could potentially upset the Lakers. They're hot right now." Now, were they saying that because Russ was just being Russ and, dribbling the ball off his foot out of bounds and doing all this crazy stuff? No, it's because he was playing pretty well with James Harden. And if it had just been Russell Westbrook who had left the next season, you might be able to have something to say about, well, where was his head at, how good of a fit he was. But it was James Harden was the one who was done in Houston. And from what I heard, it was Russ who actually had a problem with Harden's lack of effort. And, he got out of there, but Harden then got out of there too. It's not like he stayed in Houston. So, and they go into the next year, with the Wizards, make the playoffs. So this offseason, before the season started, the Lakers acquired him, and so many people, you had Skip Bayless. Oh, if LeBron James, this is how far people went. If LeBron James can win a title with Russell Westbrook, Skip Bayless says he will then officially consider LeBron in the GOAT conversation with Jordan. Now that's saying something, because we all know how much Skip is so fervent about Jordan being the GOAT, and many other people. I'm not going to get into that conversation right now. Maybe that'll be another video. You know, and now, what was it? One game into the season, he does Russ things, and people are already like, see, I told you, this is going to be a mess. The Lakers in trouble. Now, I'll admit at this point, it still doesn't look too good. But the whole point of bringing up the Wizards was that this is how their season went last year, too. Like, guess what, guys? There's a second half of the season. And this Lakers team has new pieces. They're still trying to figure out how to play together. LeBron James has missed some games. I'm not saying that, they're going to make a run to the finals, because I think the thing that's really going to hurt them the most is their placement. I think this is a team that really needs to be like one of the top 4 seeds in the West, and it doesn't look like they're going to be. And that might be the toughest thing that they're going to have to face, is like last year, the Lakers, look what happened to them. They finished lower down in the placements, and then they had to play the Suns in the first round. And it's probably going to be something like that again this year. Not saying they can't win that first round series, whoever it is, whether it's the Warriors, the Suns, the Jazz. But I just don't see how people can already be calling, they want him to trade Russ. Who are you going to get for Russell Westbrook? Who are you going to get for him? Never mind that you would actually have to find someone that would, help your team, or a collection of players that would help your team. But you have to match the salaries. Russ is making like 40, or somewhat match it. It doesn't have to be equal in the NBA, but you have to somewhat match the salaries. Now, Russ is making $43 million this year. And any team, you're not going to find an even trade like, oh, we'll give you this, decent all-star player and another, good role player and Russ, and now their salaries kind of match up. No, they're going to want Russ and someone else like a THT for that one player that could help you. And then the other team is going to have to throw in like other guys' salaries. It's just almost an impossible situation. Never mind the fact that would just be so awful. I would feel so bad for Russ. No one's given it more than him in his career. He doesn't deserve to be traded, and I don't think he deserves to have so much attention brought on him. I mean, where's Anthony Davis? What about THT? He was supposed to be this guy. They kept refusing to trade him because of his potential, and now he just looks like a totally different player. They've had this Austin Reeves kid who was looking good for them. He got hit with COVID, and it looks like he's actually like really, really sick because he's still not back. I don't think it's time to give up on Russ. I don't think it's time to give up on the Lakers. Vegas agrees with me, because as of a couple days ago, I don't know if it's changed since, but they were still tied for the 5th best odds to win the championship. They're like the 9th seed in the West right now, and they still have the 5th best odds to win the championship. So Vegas agrees, and when those guys agree with you, you have a pretty good point. I just think his history of playing better in the second half, teams gel better in the second half. You got to trust LeBron to, make things coalesce and come together. And even if they don't, you know what? It's just one season. I mean, we have this assumption that, I guess LeBron is supposed to, win the championship every single year, or at least be in the finals every single year. Guys, that run when he went, 10 straight years to the finals, it's probably going to be a long time till we see another run like that, okay? I know a lot of people, they just don't want to give LeBron credit. I think it's more of Jordan fans or Kobe fans who are scared of him and are trying to prop their guys up. So they, instead of propping their guys up, they take shots at LeBron to try to chop him down. And then, you know, he does shoot himself in the foot with some people with some of the remarks he makes with, you know, social justice stuff. But you know what? If you're paying so much attention to that, you know, that's just outside of basketball. There's some stuff that people have like brought up that he said, and I've been one of the biggest LeBron fans since he started playing in the league, and I had no idea he said some of this stuff. It's like, what are you paying attention to? Are you a fan of basketball, or are you just someone who's looking, you know, in this age of outrage? It's the age of outrage where everyone is trying to find, not everyone, but, you know, a lot of people are out there not happy with their lives, and they're trying to find other people to take shots at and knock down. I guess that makes yourself, you know, makes you feel better about yourself. I mean, this is why maybe the world was better when we had the Jerry Springer show, and people like that could just turn on Jerry Springer and feel better about themselves, looking at all the crazy people. But I digress. I think the Lakers, it's going to be tough, man, because they're going to have to, they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they'll even be in the playing games. I hope they wouldn't. And that's the tough thing, is just they're going to be fighting an uphill battle for the rest of the season. They don't need to trade Russ, though. They probably can't trade Russ for anything that would be helpful. They shouldn't be talking about it. This is the team they're going to have. Maybe they make a few, like, you know, smaller moves, but, you know, all these rumors about, oh, they're talking about, you know, maybe LeBron going back to Cleveland or trading AD or trading Russ. None of that's going to happen, guys. This is the team. This is what they're rolling with. And I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to be that person that, you know, one of the few that says trading Russ is a mistake and this team still has a shot. Just because of how much I believe in LeBron, and if AD can come back, get healthy, start playing like himself, these guys, that they can do it. You know, they showed you in the bubble, and these guys, you know, a lot of people want to say, oh, well, they got to rest up, they had 4 months off. No, 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 no. That's one of the biggest fallacies of the bubble, is to say that it was LeBron and AD who got the biggest advantage of getting that rest before the bubble. Go back to before the NBA got shut down because of COVID that year. All right? The Lakers were perfectly healthy and rolling along. LeBron had no injuries. AD had no injuries. There were other teams who got lucky that hit. Giannis Antetokounmpo was injured that spring. He was someone who benefited from those 4 months off. There was other teams who was banged up. Pretty sure Dragic on the Heat was banged up. There were teams, other teams got a break from that layoff. The Lakers did not. The Lakers were rolling along that spring, all right? So if they can get back to that, even get up maybe into like somehow get into that 4th seed and have that first round series at home. But even if they don't, just stay out of the play-in. There's a heavily veteran-laden team. They can win on the road. They could still do it. But anyways, what do you guys think? I'm sure a lot of you disagree if you see this. You know, it hasn't been the best season so far, and a lot of people can sit there and say, at the moment, ha, I told you so. But you know what? Until the season's over and they are still hovering in the play-ins and Russ is still playing the way he's playing now, and maybe LeBron James falls off this epic pace that is unprecedented ever for a player in year 19. Jordan, he's knocking on the door. Mike, he's knocking on the door for you. Anyway, I still believe in them. I think they can do it. But what do you guys think? And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.